Hello and welcome to the short video tutorial on Output API. As you know, we are on a journey. On right now, we're currently the Moodle API part of the series. But before that, we are on a project. Now, just to briefly show you the project, let me bring this up. So, it's a Debonair project of short for developer training, really, or short video tutorial. And these are we started with the where we're going. Let me show you the journey, the destination. We're going to end up with a project that has a learning data analytics solution, complete with its theme and AI with AI capabilities. So for us to achieve this, and we described this very well in the first video. So for us to achieve this, we need to cover so much. And in the process of covering all of these, we will become excellent developers. This is why you see in the beginning it says 3.3 hours of video. Huh? So covering each video being about between 5 and maybe 30 minutes, depending on the quantity we're covering. So we start with the intro, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and SQL. Very important because those are the building blocks we're going to be using, kind of like the ingredients for our soup. And then we go into the basic of front end, back end, and then the Moodle basics, where we start to work with these building blocks. And then we go into the intermediate Moodle, which is we go into the APIs, Moodle APIs, page API, string API, access, DML, file API, all of these, all the way down to upgrade API. Right now we're covering output API, and then we continue with themes. When we actually do the themes API, we produce a theme, because if you recall, it says we do need a theme. Then the gradebook API, search API, task API, and so on. All of these will make you become an excellent Moodle. First of all, make you become an excellent PHP developer, JavaScript developer, which is like front end and back end, an SQL developer, as well as a Moodle developer. Now you're now having so much skills under your belt. By the time you consider this, then you're also going to become an expert in data analytics and an expert in artificial intelligence. By the time we pull all of this off now, and machine learning. Now, what this means is, by the time you finish this course, which is for our developers, Debonair Training developers, you become excellent, very good, and be able to take on a lot of workload, and get paid for it handsomely. So, yeah, that's essentially our journey. There are other courses involved in this, but they are not directly related, such as cybersecurity, which if you're that's your line and that's what you're interested in, you can always choose from our course selection option. So that's that one. I just wanted to show you that one in the beginning. So we're now in the output API, as I mentioned earlier, and this is the short video tutorial. So the Moodle output API is a powerful framework that allows developers to generate consistent and structured HTML output with Moodle plugins and core modifications. Instead of directly writing HTML within your PHP code, you interact with objects and methods provided by the API. This approach offers several benefits. One of them is theme independence, so you're able to work without the theme directly. The other one is consistency, accessibility, maintainability, and security. So our lesson menu. So let's go through the table of contents. We're going to have the output API concept, an introduction to it, the syntax. In other words, what the general operating rules. There's a syntax to it. So the solution, problem solving steps. So we're going to have a problem to solve, and then there'll be a solution steps to solve it. And then the assignment, have an assignment that will definitely keep us engaged for the next for understanding, gives us something to really keep our minds occupied for greater understanding until the next course, or the next API course, and then the summary of it. So let's get started with it now. We go to the introduction. So the introduction. So imagine building with Lego bricks instead of, let's make this smaller. So imagine building with Lego bricks instead of just piling up random blocks. The output API provides you with well-defined bricks, and bricks being objects or methods that fit together in a structured way to create your desired output. So this is render base is a method, and you can see how it works with this object here. Renderable is another one. Heading, user picture, core renderer, plugin renderer base, the mod workshop renderer. So essentially you can see how it works here. VLE, mod workshop renderer calls VLE, mod workshop renderer calls plugin renderer base. So, and that calls plugin renderer base calls renderer base. So this is how it works. So core renderer also calls renderer base. My theme workshop renderer in turn calls mod workshop renderer, and the core renderer calls core renderer CLI calls the core renderer base. This is also used for user picture and renderables. So this is how it works together. Once you understand this in your mind, you'll be able to work in sequence to get your output. So that's that one. So that's the introduction. So syntax. Okay, so the syntax, make it smaller again. Syntax. The core of the output API revolves around obtaining an output renderer object. This object provides methods for generating various HTML elements and components. You typically get this object using the global output object. So in a nutshell, everything revolves around you obtaining an output renderer object, and which allows you to provide HTML elements and components. And you typically get this using the global output object. You'll see this in a moment when I'll be using my IDE. To use output, you call the object depending on the myriad of parts you want to output. See image in previous slides for the possible flow to output parts of solution, such as heading, user picture, renderables, core renderer, or theme. And I just mentioned that earlier as I was showing you. That's how you use the output, the global output, to get all of these things. Now, for example, global output variable, which variable is we use the $sign to signify the output. You get the core renderer. So renderer, this is how you get renderer from output. So output, assign renderer from output. Or for specific context, e.g. blocks modules, you might use page arrow get renderer, your component name, and it gives you the renderer. So that's how so everything is within the page or the output. You get all of these four. This is how you get your output from this is how you get the renderers or whatever you desire from the output from the global object, from the global output object. Okay, you can also get your renderer from the page variable, and then you can work with it further with the output object there. So that's that one. I hope you understand the syntax. I've explained it, but it all comes back down to what I explained here. Okay, so it all flows from this flows into this, this flows into this, this flows into this flows into this, this, that. Okay, and to to get the objects from each of the methods, you assign you just assign it like that. So because it's already in there, it just accepts it. So that's that one. So we got a demo problem question. Okay, so here we now start the problem question and the problem solving steps. Okay, so problem question is: a Moodle activity needs to display a simple message to the user that includes their name and current date. So create a function with a custom module that utilizes the Moodle output API to generate the HTML for this message. The message should be formatted as a prominent heading that's using the H1, and the date should be displayed in a user-friendly format below the heading. So let's go through the question so we properly understand. It says a Moodle activity needs to display a simple message to the user that includes their name, the current date. Create a function within the custom module that utilizes the Moodle output API to generate the HTML for this message. The message should be formatted as a prominent heading H1, and the date should be displayed in a user-friendly format below the heading. This is what it should look like when it's done. Simple, just like this. We just want to create an example, hello, and it will tell you you will call your name, admin user, and you put the date below it. That's all we need. And we're going to use this as a demo for output API. So let's get started. To solve this, we'll create a simple function with a custom model custom Moodle module, let's call it local output example, that uses the output API. So you're going to do this step by step, and I suggest you follow along using your favorite development IDE. I'm going to do it using my one, which is VS Code. And as you can see here, I already have the output example right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this output example, which is under the local folder. So you see that the local folder or directory is inside of Moodle. Now Moodle and module, let's be careful so we don't misunderstand it based on the way I'm pronouncing it. So what I'm going to do is close this index and rename this one to old. I'll put example old. So it's going to be that, and then we're going to create output example again. So that one is now. So to create to create a new folder called old. So it says the first thing it says to create this, create a custom module. First, ensure you have a custom module structure in your Moodle local directory. If not, create a directory local output example, and within it a basic index PHP, which we won't use exclusively here, but it is good practice, and a lib.php file where our function will reside. So let's create the directory we spoke of just now. This is the local directory there. So to create a new directory, this is what we do. We go in, we close all of these, click on that, and then we now are able to create output example, a new directory. Otherwise, it defaults into the one beneath, the one in which is directly clicked. It now tries to create it inside of there when you click on the local. So output example. So we put that there. We type that in there, and we now have output example. Remember, this is output example old. Okay. So that's that. So as we have that there now, we can now create a new file called index.php, as it says in the first direction there. Now, then we also create a lib file. Also create a lib file, new file, lib.php. So we now have both of them there, and also what we now do, those are two steps we should take. We now go straight away to start creating the lib. We say we leave that there for now. We don't do anything with it. With this lib file, what we do straight away is we go and look for a template boilerplate. So we got a boilerplate there. We just copy that one. This is important because since we are professional developers, we need to keep the professional syntax going, so we know we don't mix up our code. So I put that in here because it's required for all of Moodle anyway. That we that allows us not to mix up stuff, because this is a sharing. This is an open source platform, so we don't want to mix up code, and that's why it's very important to have that right in the beginning, so you know exactly what you're doing. So output example. Excuse me. Put output example there. I will change that to output example again. So we got a copyright there, no problem. So we got all of that. So quickly, what we want to do now is get the same thing in the lib folder. Okay. So we got that in the index. Remove that one because that's the. So we put the exact same thing in the lib folder, and this time we change that to lib, so we know exactly what we're doing. Okay, later on when we publish, there'll be no confusion. Okay, and it's this lib we want to work with. So we've got the code here already. So let's continue. Okay, function. We create a function. Remember, I've already got a PHP, opening PHP there. No closing PHP, no module files for design. That's the way it's designed. Okay, so output example display greeting. Okay, got that now. So that's the standard PHP, as you know, for functions. So we put in there, we place in there the global variables of user, output, and page. So end of line. So we got all those in there because we're gonna need them. So set up the context, set up the page context if not already set. Okay, so that's where will be the next line. That's exactly what it'll be saying. So set up So here we go. So if there's not already a page, if there's a page rather, if there is not already a page, then create a page, a new page. That's what it's saying essentially. That's what we're trying to do. So we're saying if there's not a page, if there is not a page, then to the global page variable should be assigned new Moodle page, like so. Okay, end of line. And we just keep it neat and tidy. Okay, so the next line is saying we are just setting the page variables as is constant with most, as we've been doing so far with access API, with page API, with string API. So we're just setting out the page again. This is all part of standard. So I could just copy and paste, but I'm gonna go through it so we just really get it sorted in our minds how it works for next time. Okay, so page we're now setting the URL. Remember to put the colon first, sorry, the / first. Local, sorry, no, it should not have that, it should have this, it should have the underscore. Local output example. So the local and the underscore is standard Moodle nomenclature for referring to the page URL. Okay, so this one here is not supposed to be a / because in all local plugins this it must be preceded with this, and then whatever you now put after this is the name of your local plugin. Okay, so that's one of the reasons I am tapping this thing out again so we can be clear. And in preceding or next modules, we will not have to do all of this. Next APIs. So this is the sample URL. Okay, and then set up the page. This now we go into the context. But let's just do this one. So now we're doing the context, and here is going to be context system, which is a class. So now we're getting to referring to the we're getting an instance of the class, and this is how we get it using the method. Okay, so if we had any errors here, for example, if we let that out, you see that turns red. So it's very important that we pay attention to what we're typing in our code, so we don't have to troubleshoot later. That way, still have time. So that's on the page context, on the setting the context. So setting the title, again, we do that. Just put title there. Then it's now a question of getting the string. So get string and the string we want to get, which we haven't created yet, but we're going to create it, is greeting local output example, which is going to be the local output example. So greeting, the way we refer to it is the first first argument, first parameter is the name given to it, and the second parameter is where it's located. And it's located in local output example. So it will be called with greeting, or to be found in greeting, and to be called from as a greeting. That's how we refer to it, and be found in local output example, which is exactly in nomenclature space, as I mentioned earlier. The way Moodle does it. So all of that should be inside of port marks. So put that in there, and that should now be okay. That should There we go. We have two closing parentheses there. So that's that, and so we got that one, and then also we now have set heading. So we also need to set the heading. So let's continue where we stopped here. Okay, so we got that one too. As I mentioned, this happens over and over again with all pages. Their equivalents need to be set all the time. Okay, when you set up enough Moodle pages, it becomes second nature. So here we're gonna get string again. Okay, and inside of the heading, we're gonna get string, and for the heading greeting, which is gonna be very similar to what we just did before. In short, it's exactly the same thing because we renamed them the same thing because just for example, if we named it something else like header or heading example, it will turn out just like that. So let's just put that there because it's exactly the same. And so there's an error. Yes, I can see why the error is there. So that's there, and then we close up that line. Okay, so we got that one done there. We know exactly what we're doing. Okay, so got on the heading. So we now get the user's full name using the output API. Okay, so that's the next thing to do. So the second thing we're going to do now is okay. So now we've got the page set up now. So let's continue to get the user's full name using the output API. Remember, we're trying to get this. Here. Okay, so we're gonna do the greeting. So we got the information we need for the greeting. So now we're gonna get the information we need for the user's full name. So get the user's full name using the output API. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this now. Okay. Get the user's name so we assign full name user on the global user variable to the variable called full name. So full name full name object in the global user variable. So that's it right there. That's how we get it. Okay, that's a PHP. That's standard PHP. So now we got that one. We now get the current date formatted for the user. Okay, so once again, I'm going through these. Further APIs, we will just be copy and pasting because we already know what we're doing to expedite us learning quicker. Okay, full name, get current date, formatted for the user. Okay, so current date, now using we're now creating a variable called current date. Current date variable is user date, which is the user date function, and then we're now getting using the time, using the argument, using the time parameter of the user date function. So as a function, and that's the first parameter, the user date function. Time function is the first parameter. Second parameter is the day, the formatted day, month, and year. And the way we do that is percentage D space percentage B, capital B, space percentage Y, capital Y. Okay, and all of these should be in parentheses. So like so. Okay, so we close that statement and then we go on to the next one, which is once you got that date formatted, the current date formatted, we now use the output API to generate the HTML. So use the output API to generate the HTML. So we start with opening the quotes, like so. Output equals double quotes here, and then we close the line, and then no, that's wrong. Quote is outside. Sorry, the semicolon is outside the quote. So we now output. What we're now doing is adding more to that output that we started. Okay, that we opened with a quote, with a double quote. So here we go again. Output, and the way we just continue add on to it, we use the concatenation, which is dot equals, which is now we are continually assigning to the output. Okay, so we are using from the globe, we're getting our information from the global output variable. Heading, so we're now getting the heading, and we are using PHP. We are going to give what we want the name to be of heading there, or what we want the variable to be. So we're going to say heading get string, and inside of that heading we now say hello. Remember, we have language strings, so all of these are going to be interpreted in the language strings. Hello, and it's going to be found in the language string local, which we already have named here, local output example. So let's just copy that. And put that here after hello to be in quotes. Okay, so that's there, and then afterwards comma, and then you want the full name, which is the full name variable we defined earlier on. Okay, so that's, and then we want to give it 1, which means it will have the output, the font size will be 1. Okay, so to be sure what we're doing, what we just typed there is the greeting, hello example, so the full name, we just before we say, we're saying greeting, we're saying hello. This is it here, hello. That hello there is this hello here, this hello here, and this full name here is this full name here. Okay, so that's what we're doing here now. So this greeting example here, that's what this is here, and you will see it once we do the language strings, you will see it. Okay, so the next thing to do now is the date. We're going to output the date as well. So okay, so we've done that. So let's go back to our where. So okay, so we're gonna append also okay, we're gonna just get this because we're gonna need all of this again. Let's just copy from here to here. Okay, so we're gonna get a general box, which is a Moodle construct, a box start. So output again, which is we're just concatenating what we already done. In addition, we're saying output should also equals box start general box is a container, Moodle container defined already in Moodle as one of the standards. So you now created a general box for it to use. It's a styled box essentially. That's what it says there. So close that off and say optional add a style box. In other words, you don't have to use this. Okay, so that's that one. And then add again output paragraph get string today is, so we're gonna get the string what today is. Yeah, so we say get string and in there we put today is, because that will be defined in the language strings. Local, this has to be in quote, double quote, in single quote, sorry. Local output example. Okay, so that's that one. And then the last parameter for that one will be current date. So no, that should be there. Last parameter should be the current date, which we've already defined, right? Current date. Okay, so that's what we need for that. And then once we do that, we now end the box. Okay, so output again box end, which is a method just like we had box start, there's a box end. So we close that line of code and then we return the output. Okay, and finally that should get us exactly what we need. Okay, yeah, we also need to create the language strings, which should be a local output example lang and local output.php. Okay, so we go in here, output example which we created, and then we had new folder lang Within lang, we create a new folder N, which is for English, and within English folder, which is EN, we now create local output example.php, okay, which is this one here. So here it's a new file, local underscore output example.php. Okay, we got that there now. Right, fantastic. So we need to add language file for the strings used in the function. So in this one now, we now create PHP. This is where we now add all the strings we just added into the lib file. So we now say PHP. What we do need is directly string greeting. So we need the greeting string. No, we need the plugin name. First of all, we need the plugin name first of all. Plugin name. Local output example. So that's what we're going to call it. That's how we're going to refer to by Moodle. Because Moodle will look for it. And then oh, it should not be that. That's an error. Okay. So then we have the string greeting. And the string greeting example. Remember that greeting example? This is how it got there. So we got that one now. And then we got another string which is hello. Oh yeah, you remember hello? This is how it got there. Okay, so and we're saying hello. What the variable of the name is, that's a placeholder there. So equals today is, no, that should not be, yeah, hello equals hello, and like so, and then the placeholder, which is a variable, so do that, and inside of that $, I put the placeholder variable there, a. Okay, and outside of it you put the exclamation mark. Okay, so we got that there now. So that should be fine. Now close that one off, that line off, and I will now go on to the next one, which is the string today is now that one we can just copy this line because it's almost the same. And just put today is there, and change this to today is, and it will put in the variable that needs to go there exactly for that string. Okay, so that's how we do that one. So this is for the local output example, the PHP file, just 4 lines of code. You could actually, to make it neat, just spread them out. So that's that one. Save it. And then the last one is the Moodle using this in a Moodle.php file. Okay, so this is how we now use it in Moodle.php file. So for example, in the index.php, so this is where the index.php comes in. So we say we go, this is, so we're not going to use it in the index.php we created earlier. Okay, so we created this file earlier. So we have already got the PHP. So now this is where we're now putting the require. Already got the bookmarks there. So got that one because it's 2 hierarchies up. So PHP. And then we'll now have to also require the lib file. Remember we created the lib file earlier. And that one, because it's exactly on the same level, we don't need to refer to it like we refer to the other one. Lib.php, and no, yeah, that's it right there. And then page. Likewise, we're going to create a page just like created earlier, but like I mentioned, we're not going to do that again because it takes time to type it up. So we're just going to copy that because you understand fully what we did. It's exactly what we did earlier. Okay, so you put that in there. Put that in there, and then echo output variable. You're not outputting the header, which you already defined. Sorry, that should not be in caps. Then echo the local output example display greeting function, which we created earlier, right? So echo local output example display action. If I just put it in, it's already showing you that we got a function called that. So that's done. So, and then echo output filter from the global variable. Again, this is all what we learned from PHP earlier. So got that now, and when you do it like that, you should have your code readily available for you. when you go to index.php. So okay, we got everything we need there. Right. It's just going through my code, making sure everything is fine. Okay, let's save and then receive everything is okay. So now let's go to output example to see if there's any error with our code. Okay, it says call to undefined function local output example display greeting. So it cannot find this function. And this function is called here. Okay, let's look back at what we could be missing out of here because we already have this code here. Okay, so from that error message, essentially saying this function cannot be found. And this function is in the lib folder, lib.php, which is this one. And from what we can see here, we can see there's that, which essentially tells us that there's something wrong there. And on closer inspection, you can see it says syntax error. It suggests to us that something's wrong there. And I mistakenly put a dot there instead of a comma. So I change it to a comma and I save it now. And it's gone. So that error is gone. So it's saved. So let's go back and so we now refresh this and voila, we have it there. The only thing is we don't yet have the name there. We don't yet have the name, we just have an exclamation mark instead. So let's, oh yeah, let's log in. We log in now. And here we go. Hello admin user. So that's it for that one. We sorted out that part of it. So let's go back now to where we were. And okay, so we've done everything now. So this example, the explanation is here, really everything we've done. So you can go over it again yourself. This example demonstrates how the output API helps you generate well-formatted, accessible, and user-aware HTML within your Moodle code. Leveraging Moodle built-in formatting and internationalization capabilities. It's a simple illustration. So that's about the output API for your practice. So we have an assignment for the cement, what we've learned so far. If you click on that, okay, the session was timed out. Okay, for this particular, okay, yeah, for this particular training, for this particular. So let's go back and we logged in as user. It should be okay. So let's go start again from there and click on. There you go. So now the assignment is, now your assignment is to demonstrate understanding. Your assignment to demonstrate understanding is to do the same assignment, but for the box start, use the box start. Use you should, instead of start A, you should now have success box. So as this is used to indicate successful operations or positive feedback, often styled with a green background or border. Essentially, what this assignment is saying is instead of using box start, use a box start A success box. So instead of you using just the box start, which is here, which is in the code here, box starts. Instead of using just box starts, you should use box start. You should use success box. So, which is, as it mentions, it's an inbuilt, um, which it is used to indicate successive operations or positive feedback, often styled with a green background or border. So that's for you to go research and do and submit. Once you're signed up for this, you'll be able to take that and then submit it, and we'll be able to give you your scores on that one. So the links for further studies to delve deeper is this link here. And in summary, for this particular output API is here. So we've gone through the concept, we've gone through the syntax, we've gone through a demo problem and the solution, and um, and and thank you very much for taking this course. What we need now is for you to, if you have any questions, for you to mention what it is and in the comment section, or send me an email at info@debonairtraining info@debonairtraining dot com here, or you can go to the website if you're not already a student. If you're watching this by YouTube video, you can go to debonairtraining.com, go to the LMS, Learning Management System, and then book for this course by registering, and then we'll enroll you for the course if you meet our requirements. And yeah, further to that, if you're watching this video on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment down below if you have any questions, and of course subscribe to our channel and share if you wish. If you wish, you can share, and that way there'll be more interest and more feedback, and happy coding as a Moodle developer, PHP Moodle developer. So thank you very much for your time for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.